Hey everybody, Dave Guccione here for Black Hat Fireworks. We're going to discuss how long do fireworks last? Do they degrade? I mean, if I have a box of fireworks or I have an item that might be a couple years old, is it still safe to shoot? And the answer is yes. There's a whole group of people who collect antique fireworks, and I'm part of that group, and we'll actually go shoot items that might be from the 1960s, and they still perform the way they were back in the 1960s. But for the most part, I think the good rule of thumb is, if there's something that's over 10 years old, I'd probably say it might be time to maybe get rid of it and dispose of it legally and safely, and that would be putting it in a bucket of water, letting it soak, and then putting it out with your regular garbage. But this go back to, if I have an item that might be 2 or 3 or 4 years old, is it really safe? And the answer is yes. And in many cases, actually, the item might even perform better than it did the first year it came out, and I'll tell you the reason why. Many times fireworks are manufactured, let's say in the month of January. They're loaded on a container ship and they cross the ocean, where the moisture will actually be extracted out of the paper tubes and then create a very humid environment within the container. And so when the container gets unloaded by the fireworks vendor, it's still kind of damp. It could still be wet, and by the time the 4th of July, it dries out to where we're supposed to perform the way it does. But when fireworks become super dry, the pyrotechnic composition actually becomes more energetic. And so it's going to actually perform better. That's why a lot of times, a lot of pyros like myself will say, hey, is that dried out? And it's like, yeah, it's been drying for over a year. And then we know it's going to perform really, really well because the powder is super dry, making it more energetic. So it's going to perform at its maximum time. So sometimes a firework that might sit for a year is going to perform better than an item that's actually brand new. Fireworks will store safely and well in a dry environment. If it's in a moist environment, I would say that it could become unstable just because fireworks and water do not mix. They're not going to perform, and they could possibly be subject to failure. So if you store your fireworks in a dark, dry space, legally, you should be fine. Hey, the bottom line is this. If you feel uncomfortable lighting any item that came out of storage, discard it. Once again, Dave Guccione here for Black Hat Fireworks on how long do fireworks last and do they degrade in storage?